Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. Welcome to Fabulous Hump Day, Wednesday, the 22nd of July. And I've got another fabulous show for you guys today. Today, we're going to talk about QAnon, the Loopy-Loo followers or group. I don't even know what to call it, cult that I brought to you a couple of days ago. Twitter's taking notice. Also, a couple of celebrities have called them out. And so guys, without further ado, let's get down to today's show. I'm going to start with the QAnon cult story. They've taken out 7,000 of their Twitter accounts. No wonder my friends were so fooled by this. There's so much of them. But you know what the good news is now? The good news is they're chopping them down now. So that supply chain, that endless supply chain of fake news, hopefully will start dying down because more of them will be getting identified and removed. Take a look.
You know, QAnon has been around for a long time. It has taken on a life of its own, and it's festered on Twitter for ages, frankly. Just a few days ago, just last week, the actress, television personality, model, Chrissy Teigen, who is one of Twitter's most popular and famous users, she complained about how she was publicly about how she was being harassed by QAnon users. And last night she actually made the point, pushing back to some people who were saying, you know, you're going against freedom of speech here, Twitter is censoring people. She made the point, you don't have a right to coordinate attacks and make death threats. It is not an opinion to call people pedophiles who rape and eat children. Now that is obviously an extremely graphic image, but that is the reality of the nonsense that is being pushed on Twitter. So, you know, I think it is very possible that Chrissy Teigen raising this issue really put it higher on Twitter's list of priorities. And, you know, that's also sad in the sense that, you know, is that what it takes for these social media companies?
Welcome back, guys. So, I mean, some of the stuff they believe in, and you know what gets me more than anything else? When you challenge these right-wing nuts, they put everything down to freedom of speech. Have you noticed? So you're free to say, oh, my next door neighbor, you know, he kills kids and he eats babies. You're free to say that and put it on social media? I don't think that's freedom of speech because, well, never mind the nutcase that starts a rumor like that. You that say you're a normal person, how far do you have to take your brain to believe someone you've never met, someone you don't know their character, someone you don't know if they've just come out of a mental institution, but then they have access to social media? How far-fetched can your mind go to believe that there are people out there, celebrities like Oprah, like Obama, who are pedophiles, killing kids and eating them? Baffles me. Guys, my next video is about the man himself, the Trump. You've been hearing about his cognitive test that he took, that he aced. Yesterday's video, he said to the journalist, you couldn't do the last 5. The last 5 were really hard. It turns out the last 5 questions, of the last 5, 2 of them were, what city are you in? And what day is it? So here's an update on this guy's super aced test that he's so proud of that no one else could ace it like him. Take a look, guys.
Trump and his campaign are invested heavily in right now, trying to cast Joe Biden as mentally unfit. But it's also become a question for the president himself as he talks about his cognitive health. So what can we say about either candidate's condition? CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta takes a look.
If I may, sir, respectfully, in the Fox poll, they asked people who is more competent, whose mind is sounder. Biden beats you in that.
Well, I tell you what, let's take a test. Let's take a test right now. Let's go down. Joe and I will take a test. Let him take the same test that I took, but I guarantee you that Joe Biden could not answer those questions.
I've been tested.
Yeah, so this is the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. That's the one we think he's talking about, at least. He said it was done recently. It was done a couple of years ago, actually. And as you say, John, there are all sorts of different things on there. It's a visual spatial sort of exam. You can see you're connecting letters and numbers at the top, drawing a cube, drawing a clock face, naming animals. The part of the exam.
Yeah, but you see the test. You see what sort of test is it? Identifying an animal. So, yeah, you know, those are tough tests, mate. Really tough tests. For 70-year-old, they're really tough. 72 or whatever it is, 74. They're really tough tests. Guys, this next story is about the shootings in the US, and they're still going on at rapid levels. Some, I have to say, looks like the one I'm going to show you now definitely was gang violence, because apparently the person whose funeral where this happened at was shot in a drive-by shooting. However, fair enough. Look, at the end of the day, we've just got to keep an eye on this, okay? Because no one can really tell what's going on in this case. So guys, take a look at the latest on the shootings in the US, and the latest on Trump's plans to put troops in states. But notice the states. These are the states that he knows will kick off, yeah, if he tries to steal the elections. So why aren't troops on the ground in any other states? Those states, you see the thing, he's going to lose some of these states, some of the states he thinks he's going to keep. He's going to lose them. Some real red states are going to go to the blues this time around because he's so bad. He's just a terrible president. However, what he's doing at the moment is he's securing those states. In my opinion, he's securing those states that will give him the most trouble.
15 people injured in a shooting outside a funeral home in Chicago. This is the latest incident in a recent spate of gun violence that has the Trump administration deploying federal officers to the city. CNN's Omar Jimenez live in Chicago with the latest. What happened?
Yeah, Allison, 14 people injured in what was essentially a shootout at a funeral home on Chicago's South Side. It is the latest grim headline in what has been a summer and really a year of grim headlines when it comes to gun violence here in Chicago, with both murder and shootings up close to 50% compared to this time last year. Now, it's tied to that rise in violent crime that the Trump administration now plans to send federal resources, additional federal resources here to the city that, as we understand, will come in the form of FBI, DEA, and ATF. And to use Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot's words, these are resources that are going to fold into federal agency partnerships they already work with to try and suppress violent crime here. So she does intend to cooperate. However,
I do want residents to remain diligent. We need to expand our eyes and ears on this thing because, unfortunately, we can't put anything past the Trump administration. I'm hopeful that they will not be foolish enough to bring that kind of nonsense to Chicago, but I'm also not naive, and we're going to be diligent, and we're going to be ready, and if we need to stop them, we are going to.
And it's not just Chicago. Mayors from over a dozen cities have written to the Trump administration to either stop plans or to remove federal agents from their streets. They've also written to congressional leadership to investigate what they describe as unilateral actions by the Trump administration here.
Just keep watching this story. I'm going to keep on top of it for everybody, and you'll get the truth from me. Okay, once we identify that, once we believe we've identified who's responsible for it, we'll also bring that news to you. Guys, I'm going to switch tactics now. My last two videos are about Corona. I've got a fantastic last news for you guys. Amazing little country, Rwanda, who will put UK, the US, and many countries to shame, guys. But that's my last video. Now I'm going to scoot over to the US. We all know the US are hitting high numbers. I mean, no one's seen 1,000 deaths in a day for a while from any of the countries. The US have been in that. They've had the 1,500s and the 1,200s that like we did over in the UK, like France did, all these countries. No one's getting those numbers now. The US dipped a little bit because New York and those countries that hit first were carrying those numbers up. Once their numbers came down, then the death number came down. But now the southern states who never shut down and who are following Trump, now that they're on the rise, the whole death is on the rise. On the still the same wave, they're still on the wave. They haven't slowed down. If these guys over here had watched how these guys suffered and paid attention, they would have quashed this thing so easily. But what they did is they never paid attention. So it's still on the rise. So take a quick roundup on the US situation. Take a look.
Crackdown on young partiers crowding together as Vermont reaches an encouraging milestone in its fight against coronavirus. CNN has reporters across the country bringing us the latest developments.
I'm Randy Kay in West Palm Beach, Florida, where we're getting word of a block party a few days ago of more than 600 people. This took place in Palm Beach County in an area known as Pahokee. Law enforcement said that people there were not wearing face coverings. They were not social distancing. That is certainly the rule here in the county, and you can't have gatherings of 10 or more. So now the county administrator is considering putting in a curfew in that area of the county, not the county as a whole.
I'm Ed Lavandera. A resurgence of coronavirus cases in the state of Louisiana is putting plans on reopening the economy there on hold. The governor, John Bel Edwards, says that the state will remain in the phase 2 of reopening for at least the next 2 weeks because he's seen a surge of coronavirus cases across the state. The governor last week issued a mask mandate order, and health officials there in Louisiana are saying that once again, that state is headed in the wrong direction.
I'm Athena Jones in New York. The state of Vermont must be doing something right. Governor Phil Scott says the state now has the lowest coronavirus case count in the country. There have been no deaths from COVID for 30 days and very few hospitalizations. Just 3 people admitted to hospitals on Monday. There are no plans for a mask mandate anytime soon, the governor said, because the numbers aren't alarming enough to require one and because Vermonters are wearing masks on their own. Meanwhile, colleges and universities are planning to have students back on campus in the fall.
Vermont is doing so well.
Guys, we're at the end of the show now. I've got one more beautiful story to show you guys. It's the story of Rwanda and their fight with the coronavirus. They are so ingenious. I am really proud of many of these small countries. Senegal, they invented their own test kit. They didn't wait for the Western world to come help them this time. Most of the Western world are still on their knees right now, so they knew better than to wait on them, and they've done really well. This is an amazing story, guys. Take a look at Rwanda and how they literally beat the coronavirus. You can count the deaths on one hand. Take a look, guys.
Rwanda has a population of about 12 million people, but is home to fewer than 1,700 coronavirus cases, and it has a death toll you can count on one hand. Stephanie Basari reports on what Rwanda is doing right.
Although Rwanda is the most densely populated country in mainland Africa, with limited resources as a low-income country, it is emerging as one of the few nations that has effectively managed coronavirus and contact tracing. Rwanda has implemented randomized testing, enlisting healthcare workers to ask drivers, cyclists and pedestrians if they would like coronavirus swabs. Anyone who tests positive also receives free quarantine and treatment at government-run clinics. But Rwanda's success in dealing with the global pandemic began long before the virus emerged. Over the last decade, the nation has steadily improved its healthcare system, making it better prepared than neighboring countries when the virus hit. Now, Rwanda is also using cutting-edge technology to combat coronavirus and keep healthcare workers safe. The East African nation enlisted the help of robots donated by the UN Development Programme, which are being used to conduct mass temperature test screening, keep medical records of coronavirus patients, and to limit physical contact between patients and healthcare workers. One company in Rwanda has even used drones to deliver medical supplies to clinics in areas that suffer from poor road infrastructure. Stephanie Basari, CNN.
Guys, isn't that just amazing? I mean, they recognize that there's certain parts of their country that they can't reach because of the infrastructure, because they haven't got the roads. They use their initiative and they use drones to drop medication and test kits to places that they can't reach. They're using robots. No one else even thought to use that. The Western world who made and built those robots didn't even think to use it. They were using human beings, and that's how they beat it. 12 million people, 12 million. I mean, that's the size of sort of New York, and look how many deaths New York had. I know people travel to New York more, but we still got to take our hats off to them, guys. I've come to the end of the show. Remember to look out for my diary. I'm taking the coronavirus test, a home kit one. I'm gonna be putting in the post box today, so I'm filming everything, and I won't be uploading the video until I get my results. So you'll see the results live on the Full 100. So guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on tomorrow's show. Bye bye now.